Morning to deliver the news. Washington was 35-49-1 under Gruden. None of those wins, of course, coming this year. In his 6 seasons in Washington, Gruden was the longest tenured coach under owner Daniel Snyder. File that away as significant. That 6-year stint only included 1 playoff appearance. What was the tipping point? They're 0-5 this year, just the 4th time in franchise history. And the first time since 2001 the team has started this poorly. There's a lot to unpack here. One of the big questions, of course, involves their rookie quarterback, Dwayne Haskins, and how this will impact him and what the plans are there. I want to bring in Diana Rossini, who has been covering Washington for us going back to the summer and talking a lot about the mess that is the front office in this organization. Diana, what is the plan now as far as Haskins is concerned?
Well, Bill Callahan is now the interim head coach of the Washington Redskins, and he's also the one coaching the run game on this team. So if he is forced by ownership to play Dwayne Haskins, you got to figure they're going to probably hand the ball off 1,000 times. And, you know, there's been some conversations in the organization about catering this offense to Haskins' strength, right? But the Redskins, they don't have the horses here. And really, Haskins, he likes to hold the ball. We saw in training camp, it was sack, 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 sack. Ooh, nice throw. Sack, sack, sack. He's, from what I've learned from talking to the football side of the operation, Haskins is struggling IDing defenses, and he's really having a hard time also calling plays in the huddle. So in terms of him being ready at this point, I'm told he's not. In fact, one coach said to me, not only is he not ready right now, but it should be a year, maybe even 2 more years before Dwayne Haskins can actually be a starter in Washington. So now it's really going to come down to whether or not Dan Snyder and Bruce Allen want to roll the rookie out to just see what they have and perhaps evaluate and make a decision whether or not he's the future.
My goodness. I mean, here we are 5 games into this kid's career, and they're making a decision on whether he's the future. Diana, so well done. Thank you. She's been ahead of this for weeks now. I mean, going back to August, she was sitting here on this set talking about how this thing was setting up badly. So, I mean, Dan, I barely even know where to begin with you after hearing that the organization is now potentially, and look, this is what happens when the front office and the coach are not on the same page. It is destined to go the way that it has gone. What does this mean as far as the future of the quarterback is concerned?
Well, immediately my mind goes to, Ryan Day, the Ohio State head coach, his phone has got to be ringing off the hook because hearing, Dwayne Haskins' offense catered towards him, the amount of success that Dwayne had at Ohio State under Ryan Day last year. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is this, in direct correlation to Dwayne Haskins. This is an organization in the last 4 years that has let Sean McVay walk out its doors. It's let Kyle Shanahan walk out its doors. And then it's let Matt LaFleur walk out its doors. And so young quarterback, they have to find somebody that they may have already had in their organization.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned all those young coaches, Sean McVay, all those guys. Kevin O'Connell has that kind of reputation. I'm kind of shocked they went with Bill Callahan instead of O'Connell. What does that mean, for the big picture for him? I'm not sure. But Bill Callahan, I can tell you this about Bill Callahan. We were together with the Jets, and we had a rookie quarterback, and he was the guy. He was instrumental in us developing the red, yellow, green, which we never got to green. Remember that? What's it mean? I have no idea.
Well, Sanchez we're talking about.
But that's how you develop a young quarterback. And Bill was the guy that I leaned on for this. So he's been there. I expect that Dwayne Haskins is going to be the quarterback underneath center. And why would you do it? Well, you have the whole season. This season's about his development. Is he the guy moving forward for this franchise? If not, you're going to reset it. And maybe with a new coach and maybe a new quarterback. Who knows? But let's see what we got. Is he going to be great to start with? Absolutely not. But let's see how he develops by the rest of this year.
But, Pat, how unfair is that if you're Dwayne Haskins, right? Like, you're putting him in a position essentially to fail, which is what we've been talking about for 2 weeks, in order to determine whether he's going to be the guy or not. So
well, I think it's kind of been an unfair situation for Dwayne Haskins since jump there. There's already been leaks that the coaches hated him and the front office liked him. Now you have an interim head coach who's still a part of the coaching staff that has been said that doesn't like him.
Right.
And with the interim coaching staff, you might as well just mail it in for the rest of the year. Nobody's giving him any power. You're a lame duck. Who knows what's going to happen? But if you put Dwayne Haskins in this situation, and he absolutely stinks, just like the Redskins absolutely stink, you're potentially setting him on a path, a career path towards negativity. When your first couple introductions to the NFL are not only dysfunction, which is what the Redskins are, not only is it getting obliterated by defenses, not only is it your staff not liking you, that can really jade a player. And Dwayne Haskins, who seems to have a lot of swag, he wears the headband, he charged people into his draft party. I don't know if the Redskins are going to handle this right, but history tells us the Redskins are going to handle this completely wrong, and I think we should expect much more of that. And Dwayne Haskins, I don't think he has any chance for the future, honestly.
Which brings us to the question, if you're Ryan Day, do you want this job?
No, Ryan Day, here's the deal. Ryan Day isn't leaving Ohio State. To get in the NFL, here you can't schedule wins in this league.
Oh.
You can schedule them in college, and it's easier when you have head and shoulders better players in college. Why would you come in here where you got the same?
Does anybody want that job?
I'm just saying, look, of course, everybody, I would take it. But anyway, I would say this, guys, here's the deal. People are going to be lined up for this job.
Really?
They absolutely will. And I think everybody's wrong about this Haskins deal. And because I think we're going to find out about this kid. He can't throw the football. We understand. He's playing against Miami this first week, right?
Right.
What happens if he wins? Does anybody expect him to lose to Miami? I don't know. It's going to be his best shot. We might finally get a win, and let's see what happens from there. But take it 1 week at a time. Bill Callahan, I think, will do a fine job.
Okay, so that's where it begins. This was not, again, not unexpected. But here it is, the news that Washington has made the change to the coaching staff. There's a lot more to get to on that, and we will. But let's go on the field. If you didn't stay up late last night, Elle, we had a surprise.
We had a huge surprise. Mahomes and the Chiefs taking on the Colts. We picked things up in the second quarter, and the Chiefs are trailing 7-3. Exactly what? So much, Dan, for the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
Yes, the most interesting man in the world, Pat Mahomes. His spirals have spirals. Like, this is stuff you're just not supposed to be able to do,
including the Macarena.
I mean, the ability to evade the pocket, get outside, run away from somebody, throw across your body, and have that ball go on a rope 30-plus yards is just only guy on the planet type of stuff.
That's just coaching.
That was essentially the highlight, though. Speaking of coaching, getting tied at 10 now. Rex, what are you thinking when you watch your quarterback come up limp here?
Oh, my gosh, it was Pat Mahomes. I'm in tears. I'm like, oh, my goodness. He is you're a brilliant coach. Yeah, that happens to be the best player in the league. And there's one way. We figured it out last night. There's how you slow him down. Hurt his ankle or something like that and run the football.
Yes, the ankle was taped, but also the Colts dominated the line of scrimmage, Dan. So let's not take that away from them last night. They were in his face all night.
Both sides, to your point, Al, their offensive line, but also this defensive line was just pushing guys back. And this is one of the worst things as a quarterback, to get stepped on by that 300-pound lineman as he's pushed him back, being pushed back into. That's impactful.
With that, still, Chiefs just down 16-10 with the ball. 5 minutes to go. Mahomes facing 3rd and 28. Connects with Pringle over the middle here.
Yeah, look at this great play design. I mean, that's where we're at with this guy. It's just stuff that is absolutely unseen before.
So they are short, and Mahomes limping is like, let's go for it, let's do it. They did get Damian Williams back from injury. You're thinking he can pick it up.
No!
It's a no-go.
Justin Houston, the ex-Kansas City Chief, has come out and said he knew the formation and the play that the Chiefs would run in that moment. Huge stop.
Look at him flatten out.
And there it is. Frank Reich said they were not feeling shock because they knew all week that they could do it. Eye roll.
So take a look as you see, the time of possession was hugely on one side. The Colts 37 minutes of time of possession. We just mentioned it. Pat, I see you over there.
What was the eye roll for? You just gave a little shot to Frank Reich saying they didn't know that they were going to go out there and dominate?
Doesn't every coach say that at the end of it,
didn't they dominate in the playoffs? Against the same. Oh, no, that's right.
Hey, will you relax? Will you relax?
But go ahead. What was the point you were looking to make?
This Colts team, now granted, forgive the Raiders loss just a week ago, and the Raiders might be an entirely different team. They don't have Club Dub, but John Gruden is doing something special, especially now that they're picking up Jay Gruden on the way back to Oakland. But this Colts team, whenever Andrew Luck decided to retire, 15 days before the season, they had to rally behind Jacoby Brissett. They had to come together. The fans were booing, like 300 of them. Everybody was mocking the Indianapolis Colts. Everybody, their fans are disgusting. Their team stinks. They're this, they're this, they're this. Jacoby Brissett has done nothing but show up and show out. And that offensive line is a game changer. Quentin Nelson was drafted as a sixth pick as a guard, and all he has done is set the tone for the rest of the team. Anthony Costanzo used to be a nerd, is now a vicious player. That offensive line can just carry carry and dominate the team. And Jacoby Brissett is a dog. Coming from the Tom Brady Wolfpack mindset, he is an absolute dog who can make every throw. Nobody's talking about the Colts until, bang, they make this big win over the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. And I honestly believe when I say this, I'm going to say it with a straight face. This camera, the Indianapolis Colts can win the Super Bowl this year. I am saying it. Lock it in. Everybody knows Tom Brady's so handsome. McDaniels, all this stuff in New England. They're the evil empire. The Indianapolis Colts are a sleeping giant, and I love everything about them. So no eye roll when Frank Reich says they knew they were going to do it. That team's got faith, and so does the Indianapolis Colts fan.
Well, if you ask Vegas, though, Rex, that it's going to be the Chiefs that they'd have to go through if they're going to make their way to the Super Bowl, nobody's panicking at 4-1, but are there some lingering concerns on that side of the ball for you?
No, I just think when you look at it, the Chiefs can't stop the run. That's why, look, I don't think that the Colts are the best team in the AFC, but it was the best coaching performance that we've seen this year. Because when you look at it, what they do, now we're going to keep Pat Mahomes on the sideline. Why? We're going to run the ball down your throat. Quentin Nelson, you mentioned him, the only guard in history that we talk about, and rightfully so because he's a man-child. But when you go, they just pounded the ball with Mack, and that was the way to do it. Obviously, when Mahomes got injured a little bit, that slowed that passing attack down. But give Frank Reich all the credit because I think his plan was outstanding.
The Colts won that game. The Chiefs didn't lose the game. The Colts won that game, and I don't think that's being talked about enough. And Wreck-It Ralph is a game changer at left guard.
I'd say the Colts won that game when Andrew Luck retired, because in that moment, Frank Reich and GM Chris Ballard came out and said, no excuses. We are moving forward. Last night, there was plenty of opportunity for excuses because they were beat up. And this team and organization has decided we are a good football team, and it happened when Luck retired.
Well, they signed him to an extension, Jacoby Brissett.
20 mil guaranteed.
So it wasn't like it was that they didn't believe in this kid. Right. They did believe in him.
By the way, on that two-shot, I would just ask the question, are you guys going on a fishing trip right after the show or something?
Early Thanksgiving celebration?
My goodness.
Let's
go. We're going to go chop down some trees.
Hey, excuse me, down there. We're going to keep chopping wood.
I'm still looking
Let's go on. Let's get to what was the game of the day, and I think more storylines coming out of what happened yesterday in Dallas than any place else. Cowboys hosting Aaron Rodgers and the Packers yesterday, and it starts out terribly for the Cowboys. They're already down 14-0 when Dak does this.
Yeah, this is a bad play by Dak, just not seeing underneath coverage. It's 2nd and 11. He's got an easy completion to Zeke out in the flat. Does not see it. Huge interception.
That was his second of 3 picks he'd throw on the day, so it's still 14-0. Now it's 17-0. And on a 1st and goal for Green Bay, I tell you what, Rodgers was the second best Aaron on the Packers yesterday. Aaron Jones waving goodbye to the defense. Look at that.
That's got to be disrespectful. Up on the disrespectful list for defenders.
So now it's 24-3, the Packers in the lead, and it's Rodgers, and he's going downfield. Okay, now bear in mind, this is an important moment. Anthony Brown, flags are on the field for pass interference. Jason Garrett's going to look at this thing, and he's going to make a huge mistake because they never overturn these calls, but he's going to throw the challenge flag, which is his mistake. They go up there, okay, they challenge it. The ruling on the field stands because that's the way it's always going to go with these in the NFL, and we all know it. So the Packers now on a 1st and 10. Later in the drive, 2nd and goal for the Packers on the 1. They're going to give it to Jones again. He's the first player ever to rush for 4 touchdowns in a single game against the Cowboys, and it's 31-3. Now, remember the challenge flag. Here we go. Amari Cooper catches a pass up the sideline. He's clearly in bounds. They're going to call him out of bounds. But watch the 1 foot, watch the 2 feet. So Jason Garrett is frustrated. He knows he has to challenge this, which means he'll have no more. And the ref doesn't like the way he did that.
Get out of here.
Like it's his fault. They stink.
So now he's going to get flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct, which would lead Jerry Jones after the game to say this.
Oh, I hope the little darling didn't hear something he hadn't heard before.
All right, so Jerry's going off in that direction. Anyway, will we have ourselves a game? The answer is yes. Cowboys down 17, but it's Dak. Amari Cooper had 11 catches for 226 yards.
Yeah, it is a great double move right here. And in this moment, you're like, okay, Cowboys are still in it. Dak bought some time. Coop with the double move, and Cowboys get some life.
So this is where they have their chance now on a 3rd and 10, down 10, inside of 2 minutes.
Don't do it.
They need the field goal, and then they need the onside kick. But the first part of that, of course, is the field goal. So they tick, 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 tick. They're going to have plenty of time so long as he makes the 33-yard field goal. But that's where the trouble begins. Oh, he misses it wide right, and it's all she wrote. Packers are going to hang on and win it 34-24 on what was a fascinating afternoon. in Big D.
I can say that, sure, we might have sniffed ourselves a little bit too much, and that's why I said we take these last 2 games, and especially this one, and say, hey, we probably needed that.
Sniffed ourselves a little too much. That maybe they thought a little bit too highly of themselves.
They just whooped the last week.
Yeah, they did. A lot.
Yeah, I don't understand why we need to sniff ourselves after getting drubbed on primetime television the week before.
Maybe the more important question is, how did Dak Prescott smell in this game yesterday, and what did you take away from what we've seen from him in back-to-back weeks now?
About as bad as they're going to be post-fishing trip. I think this is where I stand with Dak. Dak is in the conversation of, I don't care what you do against bad football teams anymore. Now you're at the point in your career with your contract situation. What do you do against good, winning playoff teams? Right now, Dak in the last 3 years is 5-9 against winning playoff teams. 5-9. He's got 24 touchdowns and 18 turnovers, and he's taken 40 sacks. Yesterday, and I want to say this, yesterday against the Green Bay Packers, threw for 0 yards on 3rd down. 0. And so, yes, he's going to get paid a ton of money by this Cowboys organization, but there is some massive question marks tied to their quarterback when he performs in pressure situations.
If you're Jerry Jones, Rex, right? Are you almost torn? Obviously, you want your team to win, but don't you feel really vindicated for not paying Dak that kind of money when you watch what you saw yesterday?
Look, I'm just saying this. For the last 5 years, we've said the same story. Everything's the same about Dallas. And now everybody, they win a couple of games. This is the year. This is our year. We're going to show you all that. And at the end, you're like, okay, what's the story? Give the ball to Zeke more. Do all this. This is what we always say, right? It's the same thing. And hey, what happened to Boy Wonder, man? What happened to Boy Wonder? I can tell you this.
That's the offensive coordinator,
Kellen Moore. Please put a hat on, because you look like 15. They're going to card you, not let you in the stadium, so put a hat on. But I'm loving this, because I thought Mike Pettin would dial up a defense that would challenge this team, and it did. Look, stats. People are going to look at the stats like, oh, they had 500-some yards. Yeah, when did you have?
I want to take that point with Mike Pettin in the defense, too, because we've got to be critical of Kellen Moore. We praised them a little bit early, and there was a point in this game I thought that there was a massive switch that he should make. They came out early on and threw the ball at a 12 personnel a little bit. They got 2 tight ends on the field, and the Packers go 5 guys on the line of scrimmage, and then 2 linebackers, right? Really 7 bigs on the field. And I loved it early on that Dallas came out and threw the football. Look at this linebacker, which is abnormal. Usually they only play with 1. They're playing with 2. He's out in no man's land early in this pass game. Another one early on. 2 tight ends on the field. Packers go 5 bigs across the line of scrimmage. 2 linebackers on the field. I love that they came out and threw the football to this 12 personnel. Watch where number 93 for Green Bay is. He's in absolute no man's land in this completion. Then Kellen Moore never went back to this for this offense. If I was Kellen Moore, and this is a learning process for him, I would have been in 12 personnel all game. Green Bay, if you want to play with 7 big people on the field, I'll throw it all game. So to your guys' point, I wouldn't have fed Zeke. I would have gotten 12, spread them out, and thrown it. And Kellen Moore needs to adjust better than that in games.
I think going into the game, we all thought that Ezekiel Elliott's stats would be what Aaron Jones were. We all knew that the Green Bay Packers struggled with stopping the run. That's probably why they had 5 bigs in the whole time, because they thought Ezekiel Elliott was going to get the rock more. And early, they gave him the ball 5 times in the first quarter. He averaged 6 yards a touch. He averaged 6.5 through the whole first half. Then he only got the ball 4 times in the second half. 4 times you're giving your best player the ball. I think Kellen Moore got in a situation where he wanted to throw because he saw that, but then you get too late. Now you have to throw the entire time whenever Ezekiel Elliott is your best player. And I bought into the hype for the Dallas Cowboys. I bought into the hype. I was like, listen, Dak Prescott's on a money train. He's trying to get hundreds of millions of dollars. And after last night and after the week before and saying we sniffed ourselves too much, it's hard not to look at that and say, did Dak Prescott lose himself? And with Kellen Moore,
no.
Hundreds of millions of dollars potentially with how average they've been.
The Cowboys' hands are so tied, they're going to pay him so much money. They have no choice.
And final thought, the Packers with this win and Aaron Rodgers and that defense.
Best in the NFC.
Best in the NFC.
Well, and you know what? Every week we say, hey, Dallas is best in the NFC, Bears best, Green Bay best. I think that Green Bay has a chance to be the best in the NFC. Absolutely. Why? They did it without their best offensive player.
Yep.
Bingo. And they're
did it without
playing great.
Well, Devontae Adams.
Outside the Hall of Fame quarterback.
All right. We've got a million things to get to. This, as you can see, we are jam-packed today. We barely scratched the surface. Coming up, the scariest moment by far, that hit.